Well, hello there, everybody. Good evening. Winterburn, Cat Sith, Nick, Dragonace, Arlen, Facaphon, and Thasius. How be? Hopefully the stream works. If I start getting heavily desynced or something, please let me know, and I might have to change streams, but we will find out. I would love to get that problem fixed, but we'll see what happens. Let me just do some last checks here. Just about to get started. This looks about good. Let's go. We are back with Phoenix, Wright, and we're going to trial, baby. Hello there, Rich Toto. Welcome to the stream. Why don't we go ahead and see what light can be shed on this ever darker case. Hello, Fool Arcana. Welcome to the stream. So let's move in. Defendant lobby number 2. This is the defendant lobby, alright. But there's no defendant. I've been trying to reach Lana all morning. Where could she be? And where's Emma, for that matter? It almost seems as if... Well, I don't know who's talking, but something's been happening behind the scenes. Okay. Edgeworth! Knowing you, you've already figured it out. Who the owner of the Septuple 7 ID number is, that is. Well, I have a pretty strong hunch. It's the guy whose safe it is, don't worry about it, it's fine. Looks like I'm not the only one who figured it out. You know, the only reason this trial didn't reach a verdict yesterday is because there was still room for doubt regarding this ID record. If that number does belong to whom you suspect, then no doubt will remain. After all, he hasn't been officially charged with anything. True, not yet. In any event, once all doubt has been removed from that list, I can call for a ruling. 5 minutes, Wright, and Chief Prosecutor Skye will be found guilty. But she didn't do it! I figured you'd say as much. That's why I came here, to hear what you have to say. Hello there, Nido King and Neon Wave. Welcome to the stream. This is the first time he's ever done something like this. Landa's hiding something, and the only way we'll ever know the truth is to draw it out of her. The truth. Everything goes back to the SL9 incident. Don't be stupid. Today's the last day of the trial. We don't have time to reminisce about the past. That depends on you, Mr. Guy whose life was saved the literal last day of a 2-year statute of limitations, whatever that was. Aw! If she's found guilty, you'll lose your only chance to find out what really happened. I'll think about it. See you in court, Wright. This is it. If I'm ever going to find out what Chief Gant has on her, it's now. Courtroom, baby! Court is now in session for the trial of Miss Lana Skye. The defense is ready, Your Honor. The prosecution is ready, Your Honor. Normally this is when the prosecution puts forth its opening statement. But before that, the police chief has a proposal to make. What? Chief Gant? Oh my god, he teleported in! Morning, folks! How's everyone doing? Hey, Udgy, been back to the pool yet? I really don't get why this is this guy's thing. Like, why? What is it with swimming in pools? Like, I don't know why that's a thing. It's not like we see him swimming, he has a history of it, he just talks about that. No, I've been drowning enough as it is in my work. Oh, that's a good one! Don't think I can top that. If you don't mind me asking, Chief, what exactly is this proposal of yours? Oh god, that uncomfortable wait. He's really good at that. Lana, that is to say the defendant, has asked me if she could speak directly to the court. She wants to do what? Having heard what she intends to say, I feel she should be granted her request. In the end, it should save everyone a lot of time and trouble. Huh. Well, alright, hi. What's this all about, defendant? I'd just like to make one simple request and I'll be finished. Well then, what's your request? Your Honor, I'd like you to put an immediate end to this trial. Huh? I confess to all charges against me. On February 21st of this year, I murdered Detective Bruce Goodman. In the underground parking lot with the candlestick. Of the prosecutor's office. No, Lana! Well, game over, guys. Thank you very much for joining the stream. Have a wonderful night. You can't! Your Honor, the defendant's claim does not change the defense's plea. In that case, Mr. Wright, I no longer require your services. But Lana! Your Honor, I hereby forfeit my right to an attorney. She's making this real difficult, I gotta say. The prosecution may lack direct evidence against me, but it has sufficiently proven its case through testimony and circumstantial evidence. I would like you to render your verdict now, if you please. Well, this will make the stream a lot quicker. I'll do it. Hello there, Galleon. Welcome to the stream. And Michael, welcome. Well, the defendant certainly has the right to self-representation. Her request is legally valid, although this is an unprecedented situation. Indeed, it appears there's no further need to continue this trial, even if Mr. Wright may feel otherwise. This can't be happening. It appears the time for the verdict has arrived. This court finds the defendant... Wait for it. Oh, he objected? One moment, Your Honor. Mr. Edgeworth? The prosecution has not yet proven the defendant guilty beyond reasonable doubt. Any ruling at this stage would certainly be premature. Come now, Worthy. I understand this is a difficult time for you, but why don't you just be a good little boy and keep your mouth shut, Yes, I am. I don't think I care for your tone, Chief Gant. What? Creating another fabrication to cover up your past mistakes. Sorry, but I'm no longer the naive little boy you would have me be. With this sudden confession from the defendant, it's obvious to me some kind of deal was struck behind the scenes. Some kind of deal, Not everyone operates as you do, Worthy. I thought so. Your Honor, the prosecution would like to change its first witness. Oh? To whom? As its first witness, the prosecution would like to call Miss Emma Skye. I request the court hears her testimony. Mr. Edgeworth, I am exercising my right to self-representation. I don't think we need to continue. I don't care what you think, Miss Skye. The exposure of truth sometimes results in tragedy. However, no matter how tragic the truth may be, it would be an even greater tragedy to avert one's eyes from it. That reminds me of Stannis from A Song of Ice and Fire. The truth can be a difficult draft to swallow. Very well. The court shall grant the prosecution's request. That's okay with you, right, Chief Gant? Oh man. Worthy, you'll live to regret this. Jesus! I didn't think he would just come out and say it. Mark my words. Miss Emma Skye, please take the stand. I have 10 more games to be in. It'll be fine. Looks like Edgeworth has decided to take the horse by the reins. Now then, witness, please state your name and occupation. My name is Emma Sky, occupation 11th grader. My occupation? I'm Lana's little sister, and that's her occupation, and I want to be a scientific investigator. 2 years ago, you encountered the serial killer Joe Dark of the Joe Dark killings. Is this correct? Yes. I'm trying my hardest to forget about that, though. Thanks for bringing it up. I'm sorry, but I'm afraid I'm going to have to ask you to recall those events one more time. To re-recall, if you please. Mr. Edgeworth, please remember this trial concerns the murder of Detective Goodman. Is an incident that was resolved 2 years ago really all that relevant? Yes, it most certainly is. Well, okay then. He sure gave it fast. Now, please testify about what happened to you 2 years ago. The trip to yesteryear has finally begun. It's bound to lead to the truth behind this trial. Alright, testimony. I was waiting in my sister's office that day. A man came running in and took me hostage. Neil Marshall rescued me, but I'll never forget what I saw in that instant. Yes, you will, because we made a point that nobody saw the actual instant. And she fell unconscious. Like, she never saw the literal stabbing. Oh, hello there, Koyuki. Welcome to the stream. Yeah, that's the instant she saw, the knife raised. The man raised up his knife and stabbed Mr. Marshall in the chest. But she didn't see that instant. It's a good thing you weren't harmed. I passed out. I don't remember much, even though I'll never forget what happened. That's understandable. However, please tell me, Mr. Edgeworth, what does this testimony have to do with Detective Goodman's murder? That will soon become apparent, Your Honor. What a BS answer. You've got to admire him for his courage, considering he has no evidence. Yeah, but like, I'm one to talk. Very well, the defense may begin its cross-examination. I'll never forget what happened, though. Like, you weren't there. You didn't see the instant. Can you tell us about that? Mr. Marshall jumped on Dark. Just then, the lights went out. The lights? It was just about this time of year. There was a terrible storm going on and lightning struck nearby. So, the electricity went out. Wait a minute. If it was pitch dark in that room, you shouldn't have been able to see anything, right? Right, but just then, lightning flashed again outside. That sudden flash left an unforgettable image of the scene in my mind, which was not the actual killing. I see. I told the detective about what I saw then. The detective? Yes, Detective Goodman. He was in charge of the case. Detective Bruce Goodman. The victim. Yeah, obviously I want to hear this. So, you spoke with Detective Goodman about this 2 years ago? Yes, that's what's so scary about this trial. And you told Detective Goodman about what you saw? Hello there, Talon. Welcome to the stream. Yes, but at the time, the words just wouldn't come out. That's why I drew a picture. A picture? Yes, I think she mentioned that before. I took it out of the Chief of Police's safe. Don't worry about it, it's fine. Well, Mr. Wright, have you heard enough? I mean, I have the evidence. I want to pursue this. This picture the witness drew, I believe it has a very important meaning. But the list of evidence I was given 2 years ago didn't contain a picture. Witness, would you mind if we added this statement to your testimony? Yes, Your Honor. So you would mind? I drew a picture of that scene once, but it seems to have been lost. Oh! Well, let me just keep going. The man raised up his knife and stabbed... Okay. But at the same time, though... This time I know I need to scroll all the way through. Yeah, because remember this? We've already seen this, right? A picture is drawn on the back of the evidence list in magic marker. I've got a very bad feeling about this. Right, so there you go. That's obviously important. So... Does the game acknowledge that I have this? Okay, we're good. The music stopped. Dramatic pause, everybody. Mr. Edgeworth. This little girl put all her heart into drawing that picture. And yet he would insist on denying its existence? Huh? Hey, I'm not the bad guy. All I'm saying is that as the prosecutor for that case, I wasn't handed such a picture. That may well be, but that doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Behold! This is the evidence list for the SL9 incident. Please turn it over, Your Honor. Turn it over. Turn it... Ah! What's this? Yes, what is that? Hey, that's it. That's the picture I drew. Indeed. Two men appear to be wrestling here. What's the meaning of this? What are you doing with that list? Me? Only the prosecutor in charge should have access to that list. Huh? These lists, they're different from each other. What? It would appear, Mr. Edgeworth, that the evidence list you were handed 2 years ago was incomplete. These two lists fit together to form one. You can see the marks here where they were torn apart from each other. So you see, Mr. Edgeworth, it's quite obvious what happened. 2 years ago, only half of the evidence in that case ever reached you. What? What?! Order! Order! But, Miss Skye, why did you draw your picture on the back of such an important list? Because that's what Detective Goodman handed me in the questioning room, Your Honor. Wait a minute. If this list was torn in half, then that means... Your Honor! Are you all right, Mr. Wright? Your eyes are bulging from your head. If the evidence list was torn in half, then there might be more of the drawing in the back of Mr. Edgeworth's list. What, he never looked at the back of the paper? Come on now. That's a reach. That's a reach. Oh! Yes, that's quite conceivable, Mr. Edgeworth. It's possible. Let's see. Is something wrong? Do you even have to ask? Sorry, Your Honor. Wow, he just snapped back into place. There is indeed something drawn on the back of my list. It's that thing. A jester's cap. Nah, it's the statue. They're playing the music. That's that thing. That thing that was dancing in the evidence room. Clearly, this act of vandalism is the work of a certain chief of detectives. Yeah, Fakafon, most papers don't have a back, as we all know. I guess he was out of scrap paper. Half of this list was found on Gant's desk. Oh my god! Very well. Witness, will you please testify about this picture you drew 2 years ago? Huh? Oh, yes, sir, Your Honor. What's wrong with Emma? She seemed to be thinking about something when she was looking at the picture. Well, here we go, I guess. This is the picture I drew 2 years ago. The flash of lightning was so bright all I could see were shadows. After that I must have fainted. This picture shows exactly what I saw in that instant. Okay. To think a flash of lightning would burn such an image in your mind. Thanks to that, though, she was able to show us exactly what she saw. Well, I don't see any contradictions here. This clearly shows Joe Dark about to murder Prosecutor Neil Marshall. The defense may now begin its cross-examination. Huh, alright. Let me read that testimony over again. This is the picture I drew. I could just see shadows, everything was in silhouette. I must have fainted. exactly what I saw in that instance. Sorry for asking so many times, but are you sure you drew exactly... Oh, I just remembered. I just remembered. Are you sure you drew exactly what you saw? Of course, this is the exact scene. It wasn't influenced in any way from your talks with the detectives? Are you insinuating we somehow manipulated her memory, Mr. Wright? No, of course not. I better watch out or he might find some way to cut my salary. I drew this picture before I heard anything from the detectives, so I don't think anyone's story would have influenced me. Mr. Wright, is there something that's bothering you about this picture? Huh? Oh, well, yeah, there is actually. That's strange. She claims this is exactly what was in her mind, and yet... Yeah, there is a contradiction. I remember this, because it was the wrong knife, and there was like a broken piece of the knife in the guy's body. So, hang on, I gotta find what addresses this. Yeah, Edgeworth's knife, but that's not enough. One knife wound. A single stab wound. A 4.5-inch knife. This is gonna bug me. It might be something like that. It might be that. Muffler. The shoe. Switchblade knife. The broken tip was found in the victim's body, even though Edgeworth's knife is supposedly the murder weapon. Oh, but that was for Goodman himself, though. Single stab wound, though. Oh, that's a lost item report. I don't care about that. There's so much stuff to work with here. The incident files. Just names. A knife tip was stabbed in the back. Stabbed in the back. That's what it is. Hey there, Lucas. Welcome to the stream. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but this picture the witness drew contains a blatant contradiction. What? But I still remember it just like it was yesterday. Mr. Wright, perhaps it would be faster if you simply pointed out this contradiction for us? What part of this picture contradicts the autopsy report? There you go. Also, this is just like a rectangle. The contradiction, of course, lies here. Take a look at the knife the man is holding. If you look closely, you can see its tip is broken. Even I don't have to look closely to see that, Mr. Wright. But Mr. Wright, look at the evidence. See the murder weapon? Its tip is broken too. If I recall, the tip of the knife was found broken off in the victim's body. It was the conclusive piece of evidence that proved Joe Dark was the murderer. I'm afraid it's not so simple, Emma. And where, pray tell, could you possibly see a problem? It's obvious, really. The victim suffered a single stab wound to the back. If the victim was only stabbed once, then the murder weapon should not yet be broken. Ah! What's the meaning of this? Perhaps the knife was broken beforehand. Sorry, but I'm afraid that's not possible. The tip of the knife was found inside the victim's body. If it was broken beforehand, it couldn't possibly wind up there. That's right, but what does this mean? My God. The tip of the knife was undeniably discovered within the victim's body. The only possible explanation is the witness's memory is mistaken. Jeez. That's why I asked her so many times if she was sure she remembered correctly. I believe you were annoyed at the time, but she was sure she remembered correctly. But there's no other way to explain this inconsistency. Not so fast, Mr. Edgeworth. There is another explanation. Have you forgotten already about a little something called falsified evidence? You're treading on thin ice, Wright. All I'm saying is that this broken knife tip might be the piece of evidence that was forged. Oh, no, that's interesting. You can't deny the possibility. No. Ah! Order! 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 Are you saying the investigation really was corrupted? I mean, Lana herself said that much, but... Your Honor, please allow me to once again go over the events that took place the day of the murder. The police department and the prosecutor's office were holding a ceremony that day. After receiving the King of Prosecutors Award of the ceremony, Neil Marshall questioned Joe Dark along with Damon Gant. During his questioning, Joe Dark fled the room. Prosecutor Marshall chased after him and was killed by Dark. It is my belief that somewhere in this story, there is a lie. I'm not lying. The man really was holding up a broken knife. If that's true, then there's no other way around it. This could not have been the actual murder weapon. Ugh! There must have been another broken knife. What are the chances of there being 2 broken knives? Another broken knife besides Joe Dark's? Could there have been one? Emma's mistaken, or no, there is another. If the witness is this adamant about the accuracy of what she saw, it can't just be explained away by a simple observational error. Mr. Wright. In that instant, Emma really did see a broken knife. I assume, then, that you have some information about this other broken knife? If so, please feel free to enlighten us. The murder weapon was already broken prior to the murder. There's only one way. Take a look at this. Here's the real murder weapon. Well, I remember I pointed this out last stream. There's the broken halberd, there's the blatant blade, there's the urn, which was broken and had blood on it. There's freaking 3 weapons here. I mainly fixated on the knife on the right side of the picture, but it's gotta be that, right? The answer lies in the past. 2 years ago, or 2 years in the past. Right here inside this picture. This is a picture of the awards ceremony. What is it, Mr. Edgeworth? It's the broken murder weapon. Notice the award Prosecutor Marshall is holding. That's a broken knife. As we earlier concluded, the knife in the drawing was not Joe Dark's knife. That being the case, the knife the witness saw was in all likelihood from this award. Oh, so I was a little off. Order! 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 Neil Marshall was awarded King of Prosecutors that day. As an award, he was given this broken shield and knife. When he chased after Joe Dark, he pulled out this knife. Nido King, inside the picture, Kira's dad did it. That's a deep cut. Being a prosecutor, he did not carry a pistol. This broken knife was the only weapon he had in this dangerous situation. But that can't be. Oh, and why not, Mr. Edgeworth? Because if the King of Prosecutors' award knife was the murder weapon, then the murderer and the victim would be reversed. What do you mean? I mean, this man raising a knife would have been Prosecutor Neil Marshall. Oh. Oh! Oh my god. But the prosecutor was the one who actually died. That's true. What's going on here? Fool! It seems Mr. Wright has been a bit too eager to jump to conclusions. What? Wait, I remember now. I remember everything. Witness? Mr. Edgeworth. What is it? Could you show me your evidence list again, please? His list? The one with that picture scribbled on the back? I knew it. This picture. I'm the one who drew it. What? You drew that? That's right. The list wasn't torn in half at the time I drew this picture. This goofy frickin' music, man. Oh? All this time I've been trying so hard to forget. I must have locked this part away deep inside me. This must have been really bad if the stabbing wasn't bad enough to block. Perhaps it would be best if we added this to the witness's testimony. Would you please tell us what you've recalled, Miss Skye? Yes, Your Honor. First the knife mix-up and now the blue badger? This should be interesting. Oh boy, get ready. When I saw that man raise his knife, I panicked and rushed toward both of them. I think I knocked away the man with the knife. Just then, there was another flash of lightning, and that's when I saw the Blue Badger. He wasn't in the room, but I'm sure I saw his shadow. Yeah, that was in the opening movie at the beginning of this whole episode. This is certainly most unusual. It is not unusual. Try impossible. The chief of detectives hadn't even designed him until this year. That would mean he didn't even exist 2 years ago. Yes, well, the defense may now begin its cross-examination. Stop! Please, don't pursue this any further! Lana? What's the meaning of this? Please remain seated in the defendant's chair. But you can't do this! I've already confessed to the crime! Why can't you just leave it at that? Chief Prosecutor Sky. We've already come this far. It's too late to turn back. Silence. The defense will now begin its cross-examination. Bailiff, please detain the defendant. It seems we're finally getting to the core of the matter. Lana did not kill Goodman. She killed Joe Dark or whatever way back then. When I saw that man raise his knife, I panicked. Okay, I think I knocked away the man with the knife. Flash of lightning, Blue Badger. He wasn't in the room, but I'm sure I saw his shadow. Let me see something. Yeah. Look at this, look at this. You see the shape of the Blue Badger? The three little things sticking out? How can I... let me... Yeah. How about now? You like that? So she's wrong, it's obviously not the Blue Badger. But she did see that shape. The mysterious Blue Badger was, in fact, this. But that's... what exactly is that? I believe it's some sort of jar. But Mr. Wright, that doesn't look anything like the Blue Badger. Indeed it doesn't. As it stands now, it's just a plain jar. But just take a look at this. However, what if we were to change our viewpoint? Our viewpoint? I've got to show them the correct angle to look at this from. I mean, I just did it, but... Ho-ho! Can I... I'll just leave it like this. This isn't right. I gotta make it look more like the Badger. Really? Allow me to remind the defense its case hinges on the witness's drawing. If Mr. Wright can't match the shape the witness drew, we cannot accept his claim. Well, I'm not getting punished by this. I didn't lose any HP or whatever. But I have the idea, right? Like, you see what I'm trying to do here? Oh, maybe like that? And then, how do I turn it around? That's the part that annoys me. Like, this is very awkward. But you see what I'm doing, right? It's kind of like that. Is this... It's a little difficult to... Oh, wait, rotate. Oh, there we go. There we go. I can use L1 and R1. Does that do it, or do I have to turn this upside down? Maybe do this? No, that can't... I'm assuming it's like this, right? Like, you get the idea. Nah, maybe I gotta turn it around again, but you see what I'm doing. What if I were to do it the other way? Nah, this is driving me nuts, because like, you get the idea. You get the idea. Like, what a pain in the ass. I'm just gonna look this part up. face the fat end toward me. Okay, so that's this way. And then have the two handles point roughly to the northeast and northwest. Okay. And then it says tilt it slightly down to make it look like the blue badger's head. Oh, there we go. The bottom is the top. I got it. I got it. That's not doing... I gotta be like a pixel off or something. That was it. What a pain in the ass. I feel like such a dork doing this. Like, I mean, you see what I'm doing. We've already figured it out. This is so embarrassing. The music will haunt me. Yeah, no kidding. This is so brutal. Like, I'm doing it. I'm doing the thing. Like, this is just straight up it. Unless there's something going on with the thin side. That can't be right. Yeah, no way. No way. Like, this is just straight up it. Unbelievable. Like, is there some obvious thing I'm getting wrong here? Because I'm doing the shape. You get it. The tension has now been sucked out of this case. Like, this is the thing. I got the little things tilted in such a way. I genuinely don't know what they want from me at this point. Unless I gotta turn it upside down again. There. There. Like, there's no way... Oops, I don't want to do that. Like, there's no way this would make any sense. The little things are facing the wrong way. I want to make them curve down a little bit, like this. Right? You can see little curves? I don't know where I go from here. This has got to be it. Like, give me a break. Maybe the neck part should be down more. Hello there, Raver Kitsune. Like, I'm doing the shape. Like, what do you want from it? Maybe the neck should be down more, you're saying? Like this? I don't want the bottom to stick out too much because it'll look too tall. Like, this has got to be too tall, right? Tilted in a way that you can't see through the two limbs? Oh, I see what you mean. Okay. That might be something. Oh, I see, because you can see the green through them here. So, Hey, first try! Yeah, good call, Enthusiast. There we go. Well, is this a miracle or what? Yeah, it kinda is at this point. The fact that I pulled it off on my very first try. Unbelievable. Oh my god! No one can possibly deny this char's resemblance, except for this game, like 7 times, to the Blue Badger! Yay, I'm a hero. No, it can't be! Order! Order! The defense has proven its claim. The mysterious Blue Badger witnessed on the day of the crime was actually this. Although we all enjoyed Mr. Wright's dramatic performance, one question remains. What's your point? What do you mean? So that badger thing was actually just a jar. That doesn't change anything. I'm afraid that's where you're wrong, Mr. Edgeworth. You see, this changes everything! Indeed. Very well then. Please tell us. What's different now that we know the witness saw this jar? The location, the murder weapon, or the murderer, right? So, I'm gonna cheat for this one. Okay, yeah, the location. Allow me to take these in turn. At the moment of the murder, the witness saw this jar. At a very specific angle, I might add, Mr. Wright. Yes, well, knowing this, where could she have seen this jar? Where? The location of the jar is shown in a picture taken on the day of the crime. It's on a shelf in the office of Damon Gant. But the body was found lying near Lana Sky's desk. The witness testified so herself. Yes, and it is these two facts that reveal what actually transpired. You see, the struggle between Dark and Marshall did not take place in Lena Sky's office. It happened on the other side of the room, in Chief Gant's office. Are you implying the murderer moved the victim's body? From Damon Gant's office to Lena Sky's office, across the giant Suikoden 2 pipe organ. There we go. Yes. Why would he do that? There's no reason. Exactly. If there wasn't a reason, he wouldn't have gone through the trouble. The only logical conclusion is that there was a reason. Do you know what that reason was, Mr. Wright? I finally figured it out. So this is why Lana tried to stop the trial. It's too late to quit now, though. Please recall the witness's testimony. She said she knocked away the man who was holding up the knife. In the next instant, the jar was hit and flew through the air. Now, tell me, what could have sent the jar flying? That would have to have been the impact the man made when he was knocked into the wall? Ladies and gentlemen, if I may draw your attention to this picture once more. If the man was knocked in the direction of the shelf the jar was sitting on, what would he have hit? The suit of armor, holding a very sharp and dangerous-looking sword, which we established was real when we observed it. Yes. And that's why it's in the back. And since the man who was knocked into the armor was carrying a broken knife, he would have had to have been Neil Marshall, wielding the King of Prosecutors trophy. No, Mr. Wright, you can't be thinking. Yes. There is another possibility of what actually transpired in that room. Another possibility? Of course the perpetrator would have had no idea, but nevertheless... I don't know if I can go through with this. Mr. Wright, what's the matter? If events took place as the defense theorizes, then the outcome is obvious. In that moment, assuming the man Emma Sky knocked away was actually Prosecutor Neil Marshall... Yes, she killed him. And then blacked out. Well, guilty verdict, Emma Sky. You mean Mr. Marshall died because of me? No! Yeah, no kidding. That sucks. What a reveal. Fainted again. That is unfortunate. I never imagined her testimony would lead to this. So it was the witness who took the victim's life, and then proved so with her own testimony. This is unprecedented. She's just gone. What? What are you saying? I'm sorry, Miss Sky, but given the circumstances... Joe Dark murdered Prosecutor Marshall. How can you think it was Emma? How dare you try to pin the crime on her? Imagine that, coming from you. If you recall, it was you who admitted to forging evidence 2 years ago. The reason you moved Prosecutor Marshall's body was to keep anyone else from finding out about what Emma did, wasn't it? I assure you, Mr. Edgeworth, I have no idea what you're talking about. If you hope to have anyone believe your insane allegations, I'm afraid you're going to have proof. Tell me, do you have any conclusive evidence that proves my sister killed Neil Marshall? Evidence? I'm willing to bet you don't. Yes, it certainly would be difficult to prove this with evidence. If we don't have evidence, then we'll have to rely on testimony. I'm afraid that won't work in this case. Both parties involved in the incident are dead. We certainly can't get dead people to testify, even though we literally can. That was the crux of the fourth case. Where the ghost gave false testimony. This has all been a wild goose chase from the beginning. Touché, Miss Sky. Of course, that only leaves us with one possibility. You mean there's still another possibility? What do you mean, Mr. Edgeworth? I mean the possibility that the victim has left us a message. For better or for worse, Mr. Marshall did not die instantly. He may have left behind the name of the person who took his life, in one manner or another, like writing it on the urn. That's impossible. Well, Mr. Wright, this is the only possibility left to you. A message for the deceased. Does such a message exist? Hi there, Crypto. Welcome to the stream. I've got to think back to the court record. The real murderer's name that the victim may have left behind is in the evidence. Doesn't exist. Nah, we're good. This message from the deceased is already in our possession. Mr. Wright, will you stop at nothing to prove my sister a murderer? I mean, will you stop at nothing to prove yourself a murderer? Do not be mistaken, Miss Sky. Our purpose is not to accuse Emma of any crime. There is only one thing we seek, the truth. No matter how painful it may be. Now then, Mr. Wright, please show us the piece of evidence that conveys the message from the deceased. It's, like... I'm assuming there's something on this, right? Blood traces, lines remaining on it. But, like, it's gotta be this, right? Like, what else would it be? This is the message left by the deceased. This is that blue badger from before, right? Oh, is he going to just speak the killer's name? If that thing could, I'm sure it would. Looks like everyone's forgotten this is just a jar. A message was left here, on the surface of this jar. What do you mean? If you look closely, you can see a faint... Oh, you can. Trail of blood on this jar. It looks like someone wiped the blood away. Yes, but notice, for some reason, the blood on some of the fragments was not wiped away. Yes, there is a line here, drawn in blood. So what you're saying is these dots were once lines. Prosecutor Marshall did not die instantly. He used the few precious moments left to him to leave behind a message. One that someone apparently wiped away. But blood must have seeped into the jar where the lines changed directions. Precisely so. All we need to do is connect these points, and the victim's message will become apparent. No! Mr. Wright, what kind of message did the victim leave for us? Your Honor, I believe these bloodstains will reveal to us the answer. Connect the dots. Only one thing the victim would have written: his murderer's name. Yeah, I can actually see it. How wild is this? It's a defense attorney's duty to prove their client's innocence. That's why all I've been thinking about is saving Alana. After all my efforts, I never thought it would turn out like this. That is unfortunate. Emma. So, this is the final message Prosecutor Marshall left behind. Of all people. She may not have meant it, but in the end, the one who took the victim's life was Emma Sky. Credits. See, Worthy, can't say I didn't warn you. The organ music, Chief Gant. Do you understand the implications of what you've done? What? What are you talking about? 2 years ago, Joe Dark was sentenced to death. He was convicted because of his final murder. I believe you were the prosecutor in the case, were you not? Yes, Worthy. Because of you, an innocent man was sentenced to death. Not only that, but you used forged evidence to ensure his conviction. But Joe Dark really was a serial murderer, that's undeniable. Oh jeez. I'm afraid that's not important. That is true, he didn't kill that guy. Didn't you know we aren't defenders of justice? What? We're merely keepers of the law. Sentencing a man to death is no light matter. Even if there wasn't any cover-up or evidence forgery, ultimately the responsibility falls on the prosecutor in charge. Despite what anyone may say, this fact cannot be denied. Oh, this is unpleasant. Hello there, Peru. Welcome to the stream. What's going on at the prosecutor's office? They might have sent an innocent man to his death. How could he just stand there like it wasn't his fault? Order! 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 Jeez. Chief Gant lays down the law. The gavel's pounding fell on deaf ears. Unable to settle the crowd, the judge declared a recess. Where this trial is headed, no one knows. And this game seems to think that accidental killing counts as hardcore murder, so this could be unpleasant. Yeah, I'll save, why not? Good time as any. Hooray! Trial ladder, baby. Let's go. This is freaking intense, man. Sorry, Edgeworth. I didn't mean to get you in trouble. Don't worry about it. This is my problem, not yours. Hope I'm not interrupting anything, pals! Oh, guess I am. I'll come back later. Bye! Wait, Detective Gumshoe, what is it? You've got a lot of nerve, pal. Make a detective run all around while on duty, and to top it off, you call me here? I've seen happier people at funerals. I take it Lana's having you run errands again? Let me tell you, this is the last time, pal. Here. Evidence law. She asked me to give this to you if there was a break at today's trial, with his cute little figure on the cover of the book. Evidence law. Edgeworth was talking about this just the other day. You must know the 2 rules of evidence law. Yeah, you can't show it without the approval of the police department. Yeah, you could at least study some evidence law, really. The chief prosecutor also wanted me to give you a message. A message? She said, if you're planning to take him on, you're going to need this book. Him? I guess I'll need to give this book a thorough read. Alright. Explains the 2 rules. Doesn't look like that book will do you any good now, though. All that's left now is the chief prosecutor's sentence. That's where you're wrong, detective. Huh? Haven't you figured it out yet? Why I'm still sitting in that prosecutor's seat, despite all these allegations being thrown at me? Mr. Edgeworth, the real trial today hasn't begun yet. What? What else is there left to do? Your credibility's been all but ruined with this forged evidence you were unaware of. Emma Skye found out she unwittingly caused a man's death, and now you're telling me you want to do more? You've got to be kidding me, pal! You're missing the point, Detective. Lana didn't murder Detective Goodman. Ah! Yeah, good point. She merely stuck a knife into his dead body. That means the real killer is still out there. What? And we're going to expose him. No matter what it takes. This case has hurt too many people. It's time to bring it to an end. Hooray. Alright, this is going to be, I assume, the final part of the entire game, so I'm excited. Court will now reconvene for the trial of Miss Lana Skye. Mr. Edgeworth. Yes, Your Honor. The Inquiry Committee is planning to impose harsh penalties for your actions. Thank you for the news, Your Honor. Yes, well... Normally this is where the prosecution calls forth a witness, but, this isn't easy to say. You see, there is some concern that you, Mr. Edgeworth, may have, struck a bargain. You think I may have manipulated the witnesses. I didn't say that. It's just, you see, everyone has been talking, and... Very well, Your Honor. I have a solution. A solution? That being the case, the prosecution will allow the defense to call forth all further witnesses. What? But there's no precedent for what you're proposing. Undeniably, this is an unusual arrangement, but a very effective one. It would prove that I haven't struck any deals with the witnesses. Huh. Well, Mr. Wright, what do you say? Unbelievable. Edgeworth has found a way to continue the trial. Very well. The defense accepts the prosecution's proposal. Your proposal is acceptable. This is freaking great. Samuel, will you be playing the other cases later on? Yeah, I don't know when, but I would like to. Then it's settled. The, defense may now call forth the next witness. Mr. Wright. You do realize this is your last chance. If you call the wrong witness, this trial is as good as over. The defense calls. The time's finally come to bring out the real murderer. Emma Skye! No, I mean... Come on. Come on. Obviously it's Gant. Damon Gant. The defense calls Damon Gant to the stand. Damon Gant? What does he have to do with anything? As the defendant's partner 2 years ago, Mr. Gant has first-hand knowledge of the crime. I feel we should hear what he has to say about it. As luck would have it, he should still be in the courthouse. He would also be the least likely to have been manipulated by me in any way. Wouldn't you agree, Your Honor? True. All right. Bailiff, please escort Mr. Gant to the stand. Oh god, we gotta deal with his penetrating stare. His very penetrating stare. Oh my god. Yeah, Samuel, the judge did it. I wish. Witness, please state your name and occupation. What is this, some kind of practical joke? I was just on my way to lunch. Your name and occupation, sir. Worthy, are you sure you want to do this? Your name and occupation. Oh, jeez. So, you want to play hardball, eh? Please, Mr. Gant. Fine. My name is Damon Gant. I'm the acting chief of police. Now then, Chief Gant, the court requests to hear your testimony. Oh, righto, what's with the grim face? First, let's clear up this SL9 incident. Oh, you mean that time when Lana's sister murdered that prosecutor? Personally, I think it's been made pretty clear already. There are still some things unaccounted for. Oh, like what? Like the role you played in all this? The music stops. Son, either you're very brave, or very foolish. You are aware, of course, that a police chief has all kinds of weapons at his disposal. You're also aware that threatening somebody in court, not the best idea. Weapons? Sure, take my testimony, for example. I don't have to give it if I don't want to. What? Is that true? I'm afraid so. The chief of police has the right to refuse to testify. Oh, this is unfortunate. Of course, such an action carries with it certain risks. Don't worry, I'm not here to hinder your trial. Just remember, if this turns out to be a big waste of time, don't say I didn't warn you. Ugh. Very well, the witness may now begin his testimony. God, this is uncomfortable. As I recall, Neil and I were questioning him that day. To make a long story short, we slipped up. That power outage didn't help either. When I went to my office, I found Lana there. Apparently, she had already arranged the crime scene. As you can see, I had nothing to do with the forgery. Huh. Is that when Dark was arrested? Him, he was lying on the floor unconscious. Ugh. Oof, brutal. When Amos sent Neil flying, it seems Dark bumped his head. I see. Everything seems pretty clear-cut. If the police chief has the right to refuse to testify, then I'd better hit him hard and fast. Wait a minute, wait a minute. I had nothing to do with the forgery, but he kept multiple pieces of evidence in his locker. Half of the evidence and the jar, right? Oh, well, yeah. So you're saying that the forgery had already taken place by the time you'd arrived at your office? That's exactly what I'm saying. I can understand how Lana must have felt, but moving a body and hiding evidence are inexcusable, no matter what the circumstances. Is that how it really went down? Staring at the witness won't do you any good, Mr. Wright. If you're going to stare at anything, you'd be better off staring at the court record. Worthy, always the smooth talker! But which piece of evidence ties Gant to the forgery? Lana did admit to forging evidence, but that can't be the whole truth. Yeah, I got a link. Yeah, well, in his safe. So, I'll do the jar, I guess. You claim you had nothing to do with the forgery, but I'm afraid that is a claim you cannot back up. Explain yourself. Several pieces of evidence were found in your office. Take this jar, for example. That's that blue badger you showed us earlier? A piece of this jar was discovered in your safe. Not only that, but the evidence list I presented earlier was actually found inside your desk. Was found where? You see, Chief Gant, these articles of evidence uncovered in your office are both concrete proof that you also played a part in the illegal investigation. Oh my god. Chief Gant, what's the meaning of this? Oh, here's a defense attorney who may even rival Worthy. So, you admit to it then, that you were involved in the forgery? Who, me? Or do you mean you? Me? Why would I have anything to do with that? Well, you were the one who snuck into my office when you found this evidence. That is a good point. Prosecutors aren't the only ones capable of forging evidence, you know. Defense attorneys can do so too. Isn't that right, Righto? However, Detective Gumshoe was present during the investigation. Worthy, my boy. Not even detectives are exempt from the law. Rest assured, Dick will receive his due punishment. Well, he was already fired. What? If Detective Gumshoe's salary drops any further, he'll end up paying to work. This poor guy. But he already said to turn in his evidence, or his ID badge, right? I thought that meant he was fired. Yes, well, in light of the detective's presence, please give us your testimony regarding these pieces of evidence found in your office, and their relation to the forgery that took place at the crime scene. My. Kids these days no longer know how to put two and two together. Yeah, I mean, play Danganronpa, they really don't think you know how to put two and two together. Let's see, what was it now? A jar fragment and a list? For all I know, you could have planted them in my office. Anyway, you can't prove when those pieces of evidence were discovered. If they were found after Dark was convicted, then they're worthless. There's no reason I'd participate in a forgery. Rearranging the crime scene wouldn't help me out in any way. That's a long testimony. I'm uncomfortable with that one. Mr. Wright. Yes, Your Honor? When investigating the crime scene, you should have been more careful to observe protocol. You do understand that I am the chief of police, right? There will be consequences. Ooh. Indeed, I believe I will press charges, so you won't make the same mistake again. My apologies, Chief, but would you mind waiting until tomorrow for that? Today is, well, you know. Alright, Udsy. In return, though, I know, that place, right? Huh? What are these guys, telepathic? Was it a bribe? Alright, so let me see what's going on. You could have planted them. You can't prove when. That's suspicious. Because, like, I had to use your combination to get in there. If they were found after, then they were... Well, that's true. There's no reason to participate in a forgery. That's also suspicious. Rearranging the crime scene wouldn't help him. Well, yeah, it would. It would put the victim in not his office. So, that seems contradictory. Really, Chief Gant? At the very least, there's one very large benefit you'd reap from all this. Oh, I wasn't aware. What is this benefit? Well, that would of course be the position you have, Chief of Police. Oh, that's right, he wasn't Chief of Police then. The resolution of the SL9 incident secured your promotion to Chief. That in itself is sufficient motive. Oh, that's a good one. Huh? Do you really think I'm that incompetent? What do you mean? Even without that case, I was already in line to become the next chief. The resolution of SL9 merely sped up the inevitable a little. Is that true, Edgeworth? Yes, he was going to be made chief anyway. Gah! Be careful when pointing that finger, or you might wind up being the one pointed at. Remember case 2? So that means there's only one possible motivation for you to commit forgery. If you didn't do it for yourself, then you did it for someone else. Well, yeah, he obviously seems to have something over Lana, right? They've made that very clear. Don't be silly, Worthy. You know me better than that. There are only 3 people I look out for. Me, myself, and I. There, it's out in the open now. LG, would you mind if I change my testimony a little? By all means, please do. Okay, I wouldn't be anyone's accomplice if there was nothing in it for me. Okay, well... Nothing in it for you? Sorry, but the only person I care about is yours truly. That girl, Lana's little sister, was it? If you think I felt sorry for her, you'd better think again. You're right. You don't feel sorry for anyone. Be tough on crime and tough on people. That's how I was raised. You seem to be lax enough on yourself, though. Ho ho! Ho! Oh, that's a good one, Worthy. Huh. Could there have been something in it for him? Given his selfishness, would he have helped someone out? Well, yeah, obviously. He's got something on Lana this entire case. Like, come on. True, you might not help out anyone for their sake, but if it would benefit you, you might decide to assist someone. Mr. Wright? It appears you're positively determined to portray the Chief as a nice man who likes to lend people a hand. That's not what I mean. Very well, then. Who is this person you believe Chief Gant may have helped forge evidence? Obviously Lana, come on. Chief Prosecutor Lana Skye, the defendant? I believe it's quite obvious in light of the circumstances. Emma Skye fell victim to an unfortunate series of events, not to be confused with a series of unfortunate events. Who would want to help her more than her own sister Lana? And as for Chief Gant, he would have also had a reason to help Lana if she asked him to. That reason, of course, is self-profit. Self-profit? What do you mean? After the SL9 incident was resolved, Lana Skye was appointed Chief Prosecutor at the prosecutor's office. The person who arranged this job change was you, Chief Gant. But how would he profit from all this? He would be able to use the Chief Prosecutor as his puppet. That's why she turned cold for 2 years. Essentially, he would acquire unchecked authority over all investigations. Do you mean to tell me that despite the Chief's formidable appearance, he plays with puppet? Oh my god, really? Just dead silent. Oh, wait. You must mean puppet as in someone forced to do his bidding. Never mind. That's freaking great. Admit it, Chief. You assisted Lana Skye in forging evidence. Your motive to appoint her as Chief Prosecutor so you could control her. Righto, my boy. You have quite an imagination. Let me ask you something. What? Do you have any proof of this? That I controlled Lana? For example, is Lana testifying that I've done such a thing? Lana? She's keeping quiet to protect Emma. There's no way she'd testify against Gant. I'm afraid without any proof, this all amounts to nothing more than mere conjecture. Unless that is also what happened in this incident. This incident? Or which one would that be? Of course I'm talking about the murder of Detective Bruce Goodman. The Chief Prosecutor has been acting strange throughout this entire trial. Almost as if someone has been controlling her. Worthy, you'd better watch your tongue. I wouldn't want you to get hurt. Just what do you mean? What he means, Your Honor, is that Chief Gant is involved in the murder of Detective Goodman. Not only that, but the Chief is now making Lana take the rap to cover up his involvement. What? Oh my goodness. Order! 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 I said order! Mr. Wright, you can't be serious. Huh? This is an affront to the highest-ranking officer in our law enforcement agency. To accuse the Chief of Police of blackmail and murder. That's impossible! Your Honor, I was merely reiterating what Mr. Edgeworth said in easier-to-understand language. It's too late, Mr. Wright. There's no turning back for us now. It looks like he's the one who's decided to go through with this. This is freaking intense. Can you prove this, Mr. Wright? That the Chief, a high-ranking officer of the law, is involved in this murder? Good question. Regardless of his rank or title, Chief Gant is just a man. The question is he a criminal? I believe the evidence will tell. Oh my god, I see. Alright then, let's see what Mr. Wright's got, and it better be good. Show us this evidence that ties Chief Gant to the murder of Detective Goodman. Oh wait, no, yeah, we have something. Because remember the evidence room? He was the first guy in there, right? We were spending this whole thing trying to find out whose code that was. So that ought to do it. This is the ID card list. Yes, the one that shows who entered the evidence room on the day of the crime. There was one ID on the list we couldn't determine the owner of yesterday. The Sevens. Sorry, but there's no way you can prove that's my card number. Yes, we can. It's your number. What? How do you know that? Because I broke into his damn safe. Yeah, the safe requires a code to open. A 7-digit code. You don't mean. I'm afraid so, Your Honor. The code was the 7s. The same as the remaining ID card number on that list. Chief Gant, you entered the evidence room on the day of the crime. Oh my god. Order! Order! Chief Gant, what do you have to say? Oh my god. Nothing. The defense's search of my office was in violation of regulations. And I will demand Mr. Wright be punished to the maximum extent of the law. But right now, this court demands an explanation from you about the use of this ID card. Chief Gant, so you admit it? You entered the evidence room on the day of the crime? What about it? I'm chief of police. Whether it's the evidence room or the bathroom, what's the difference? I can go anywhere I want. Tell me, when you entered the room, were you alone? I always go to the bathroom alone, as I do with the evidence room. Detective Goodman wouldn't have happened to be with you that day, would he? Of course not! Why would he be? I hadn't seen him in days. You hadn't seen him in days? Chief Gant, I'm afraid you've just undone yourself. On that day, you had to have met with Detective Goodman. What do you mean? This trial's purpose is to determine Lanaskai's guilt. No, it isn't, Your Honor. This trial's purpose is to determine the truth. If Chief Gant met the victim on the day of the crime, then we need to determine one thing. What transpired during that meeting? In that case, Mr. Wright, I'm going to have to ask you for evidence. Show us proof that the victim went to meet Chief Gant on the day of the crime. No, that's Edgeworth. Knife, testing code is nothing. Record we already saw. Oh! This can only be submitted to the Chief of Police, and it was on the 21st. Detective Goodman lost his ID card on the day of the crime. Or, to be more accurate, Jake Marshall stole it. So Detective Goodman filled out a lost item report. He would have had to have he would have had to give, we're good, that report to the Chief of Police. Yet you are in possession of the report, which means you can't be sure if he filed it. He filed it. How do I know, you ask? Because he needed to enter the evidence room that day. He needed to? Yes, to transfer the evidence out. Oh. Detective Goodman took the form to you, Chief Gant. Then, you accompanied the detective to the evidence room. I accompanied him? There's no other way the murderer and Detective Goodman could have entered the room. Hold on. Let me guess what you're going to say next. The next thing you're going to say is, I, the Chief of Police, murdered poor Goodman. Exactly. But wait, the Chief didn't necessarily need to accompany him to the evidence room. He could have just lent him his ID card. Yes. Now that you mention it, I believe I might have done something of the sort. Sorry, but that's not possible. According to the record, your card was only used once. Yet you showed us your ID card earlier. If you had really lent it to Detective Goodman, it would have been found on his body. Whoa! Damn! Chief Gant! You did it! The murder was most likely a spur-of-the-moment crime, for no one in their right mind would choose the police department as a place to commit murder. After the murder, you contacted Lana at the prosecutor's office. Why? To dispose of Detective Goodman's body, of course. You're forgetting, Mr. Wright, that the victim's body was discovered in the prosecutor's office's parking lot. How did he manage to move it there? I was at the police department that entire day, you know. And everyone's aware that Lana stayed at the prosecutor's office after the ceremony. Everyone except me, it seems. Still, you're the chief of police. You have an entire police force at your disposal. Oh, so you think I just ordered an officer to do it? Hey, you, take this here dead body over to the prosecutor's office. I don't think so. Chief Gant, you left all the evidence we need to prove how you moved the body to the prosecutor's office. And all this time I thought it was a useless clue, just taking up space. How could the chief have moved the body? Mr. Wright, show us this evidence. To move the victim's body, Chief Gant used this. To move the body... This is feeling funky anyway. This is how he moved Detective Goodman's body. What's that? A screwdriver? But what does that have to do with this case? You have the car. Mr. Edgeworth, think back to the day of the crime. What is this screwdriver doing here? It's here because... I was asked to go. By Chief Gant, no less. He told me he wanted me to keep it here in the prosecutor's office. In any case, on the day of the stabbings, I brought this back here. After the ceremony ended that day, I didn't plan to return to the prosecutor's office. But you did, because Chief Gant asked you to. You mean I... The body was found in the trunk of Mr. Edgeworth's car. I think it's obvious what happened. The body was moved by that car. Damn, that's slick. Detective Goodman's body was carried in the trunk of Mr. Edgeworth's car. Yes, unless, of course, you have another explanation, Chief. Why would you have asked Mr. Edgeworth to transport evidence from a closed case? There's only one plausible explanation. To transport the body to your accomplice, Miss Lana Skye. This is freaking intense, man. Order! 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 What's going on here? Is there no room for rebuttal to the defense's outrageous accusations? Think back to the photograph Miss Starr took at the prosecutor's office. This was not a photo of the body being stuffed in the trunk to be taken away. It was exactly the opposite. It is a photo of the body being taken from the trunk. Chief Gant, please say something. I believe... Your time's up. My time's up? Sorry, Righto, but I'm having lunch with the District Attorney General after this. We have to get going if we're to make it in time for the early bird special. But the cross-examination isn't finished yet. Remember what I told you earlier? A police chief has all kinds of weapons at his disposal. Weapons? Like the rights to refuse to testify. I'm invoking that right now. What? That is not a right to be casually invoked. There are certain risks to be considered. So you're going to just run away after all this? Run away? Don't make me laugh, Worthy. I stabbed old Goodman, that's what you're saying, right? But if you had any conclusive evidence, you would have presented it by now. Well, You think I had Lana dispose of the body? If so, then show your proof and get it over with. I'll say it again, Mr. Wright. Damon Gant is the current chief of police. This court will not tolerate any accusations against him without concrete proof. Well, Mr. Wright? Your Honor? Do you have any concrete proof? Proof that Chief Gant murdered Detective Goodman and made Miss Skye dispose of his body. Do I have any concrete proof? Nope. It's no use showing evidence I'm not even sure of myself. No, Your Honor, at present I have no conclusive evidence. See ya, G. In that case, this court is forced to penalize you for your allegations against the chief. What? Here's a tip. Never gamble what you can't afford to lose, righto? It seems that Lady Luck was on my side again today. Okay, Udgy, I'll leave the rest to you. I warned you earlier, Mr. Wright. This is an affront to a senior office in our nation's law enforcement agency. What? Lady Luck, Maybe we should have a word with her. Mr. Edgeworth, what do you mean? There's one lady who knows the real truth behind this trial. We haven't yet had the honor of hearing her testimony. A lady who knows the truth? Another witness? In the absence of conclusive evidence, the only other method is proof is testimony. But Chief Gant has invoked his right to refuse to testify. There's still someone else, one more witness who can answer all the questions raised in this trial, someone right in this very room. Mr. Edgeworth, who is this person? Why are you asking me, Your Honor? Have you forgotten? The defense is the one calling witnesses today. Mr. Wright, does such a witness exist? Well, yeah, it's obvious. She may not be willing to tell the truth, but we can't stop now. Yes, we call Lana, of course. The defendant, Miss Lana Skye. She was in the underground parking lot at 5:15 p.m. on February 21st. Her task, to dispose of the victim's body. In accordance with a certain someone's orders. Mr. Edgeworth? The prosecution has no objections, Your Honor. Very well, the court will now take its final recess for the day. In 15 minutes we will reconvene to hear the defendant's testimony. This court is now in Hold on! Huh? Oh, Chief Gant, I thought you were going to eat. Oh my god. Listen good, Lana. He's talking to Lana. I don't think you need me to tell you this, but if you accept Mr. Wright's claims, there will be terrible consequences. That's right. Your sister will be found guilty for Neil Marshall's murder, because this game doesn't know how American law works. Ah, this isn't good. Of course, you'd never support such outrageous claims anyway, right? Just something to think about. Alright then, I've got a lunch date to meet. Oh my god, this guy's scary. Okay, if there aren't any further objections. This court is now in recess. Looks like we managed to stay in the game. Yeah, thanks to your help, Edgeworth. That chief, he's something else, eh, pals? Detective Gumshoe. I'm not a detective anymore. Oh yeah, sorry about that. Ah, don't worry. I've already decided where to work now. At your office. My office? Sure, I'll take the place of that top-knotted girl you used to work with. Could he mean Maya? Remember her? Still, looks like we're all out of moves now. Chief Gant's done it again. How is it he always gets the upper hand? It's not fair he has the right to refuse to testify. Settle down, Wright. Remember what the judge said. Yeah, Chief, that's not a right that can be casually invoked. Yeah, certain risks. Risks? What did he mean by that? Oh, Phoenix said that. It's simple. If the Chief refuses to testify, the opposite also holds true. You mean he forfeits his right to say anything, too? Hi. Emma, are you okay? Yeah, when I came to, I was in the medical office. I've been listening to the trial from the gallery. So she heard everything that's been going on. Emma, I'm sorry for what I said before. No, don't be. It was the truth. You know, it's funny. I almost feel somehow relieved. Relieved? Yeah, now I finally know what really happened. To think that all this time, my sister was being blackmailed by that terrible man. And she did it all, just to protect me. Ever since her appointment as chief prosecutor, everyone who knew her said she changed. Perhaps it was easier that way for her. What do you mean? What do you think I mean, to follow Chief Gant's orders? She must have shut herself up too deep inside, to force herself to do anything and everything the Chief told her to do. That must be why she became so cold. It was all my fault. It's all because I murdered Mr. Marshall. Hey, don't go blaming yourself now. If you want to blame anyone, blame society, pal. Chief Gant may be able to fool everyone else with his forgery, but he can't fool my memory. I remember now. I knocked Mr. Marshall into that armor. I see. Well, we better get back. It's time for the final act. Emma, why don't you wait here? No. I'm going with you. Huh? I want to be there when Lana tells the truth. Let's go, Wright. It's time to end this. Oh my god, we're getting there. I am going to finish this up, though. This is normally where I would stop the stream, but there's not enough to do another entire stream, so we'll go ahead from here. Consider it a bonus! You're going to beat a game! Now then, will the defendant, Miss Lana Skye, please take the stand? Miss Lana Skye, you are the chief prosecutor. I'm sure you're aware of what is required of you. But Mr. Edgeworth, you already know everything. You know all that I have done these past 2 years. Please provide the court with your testimony, Miss Skye. And remember, you are under oath. We want to hear the truth. Of course. The truth. Lana, no matter what happens, I'll always be your sister. Now then, your testimony, if you will. First, tell us about your relationship with Chief Gant. Everything hinges on your testimony. You're the only chance we have to get Gant. Oh boy. I worked alongside Gant for years. There's no truth to this blackmail theory. I fabricated the evidence 2 years ago all by myself. When I found Prosecutor Marshall's body, I rearranged the crime scene. That's it? No. My only motivation was to get Dark convicted. It had nothing to do with Emma. Even though there's the message on the freaking urn. Like, give me a break. Are you sure about this testimony? Your Honor, I'm confessing to a capital offense. Of course I'm sure. But Lana! If this is true, then that means Chief Gant has nothing to do with this. That's what I've been telling you from the beginning. Please, Mr. Wright, you've got to help her. She's sacrificing herself because of me. But what if she's telling the truth? She's not. I know my own sister. Whenever she speaks stiffly like that, she's hiding something inside. Deep down, she's really screaming in agony. Ugh. Yeah, this is no time to start second-guessing myself. We may begin. Oh boy. Yeah, I rearranged the crime scene. You say you did this all by yourself? Yes. Would you mind telling us what you found when you arrived at the crime scene? It seems I was the first person to discover the scene. The broken prosecutor award knife was stuck in the victim's body. What? But Prosecutor Marshall died from an unfortunate accident. That's only a situation you dreamed was possible. The reality is, it wasn't my sister who took the prosecutor's life. Fantasize all you want, Mr. Wright, but I'll never change this statement. You mean Prosecutor Marshall wound up being killed by Dark? Something like that. If that is so, what happened to the other murder weapon? Dark was carrying a switchblade knife. Oh, that was lying on the floor a little distance away. It was probably knocked away in the struggle. That's not how it went down. She's trying to cover up her lies with more lies. All just to protect me. So when you found the scene like this, what did you do? After all, this is what everything boils down to. Yes. I broke off the tip of Dark's knife, planted it inside the wound, then moved the body. My only motivation was to get Dark convicted. It had nothing to do with Emma. Yeah, lying. She insisted she fabricated the evidence, but there's no way she could have done it alone. If she's lying, she's bound to slip up and make a contradiction. Sure. Broke off the tip. You planted the tip of Dark's knife in the victim's wound, and then you moved the body? But why? Why would you do that? You, of all people, should know, Edgeworth. You've always had a good head on your shoulders. My head isn't that bad, but maybe I ought to ask for the sake of the others. Yeah, why did you plant the knife? Why did you move the body? So yeah, why did you move it? When you showed up on the scene, where exactly was the victim's body? It was where you deduced it was, by Chief Gant's desk. But the body was found by your desk. Why did you move it there? The reason for that is simple. Let's have the witness explain this in more detail. The reason Miss Skye moved the body. Oh boy, here we go. The pieces of the jar that shattered during the events threatened my plan. My only motivation was to get Dark convicted. It had nothing to do with Emma. Yeah, my sister's lying. We're doing that whole thing again. Alright, alright. The pieces of the jar that shattered threaten my plan. I mean, I guess I'll deal with the jar. Miss Sky, I understand how you feel. You committed that crime 2 years ago to protect your sister. You mean the forgery at the scene where Neil Marshall was murdered? If that truth were to be exposed now, the past 2 years of your life will have been in vain. Even so, I am compelled to bring to everyone's attention a significant contradiction within your testimony. A contradiction in my testimony? You testified, and I quote, "The pieces of the jar that shattered during the events threatened my plan." That's right. Do you have a problem with that? It's a simple oversight, really. You see, a message was written on this jar with the victim's blood. Yes, the prosecutor must have written it in his final moments. Exactly so. And this is where the contradiction lies. Oh. In order for the victim to be able to write his message on the jar, it must not yet have been broken before he died. Ah! He couldn't have written Emma's name on a shattered jar. Order! Order! Your Honor, it would appear more information is needed in regards to this jar and its bloody message. We may be missing something critical here. Something critical? Chief Prosecutor, it seems you're as in the dark as we are, about the truth towards which we're headed. What? Just tell us exactly what you saw. We'll piece together the information to arrive at the truth. Very well, the witness may now continue her testimony. Okay, we're just going again. The jar. I immediately noticed the blood traces on the jar, but it was dark in the room and I didn't have time to check it out. To be safe, I wiped away the blood. The fragments were large, so I'm sure I got them all. Well, no you didn't, because the chief had one. All I could think about was wiping them clean before they were discovered. Yeah, that's obviously not true. You mean you were the one who wiped away the message in blood? I wasn't chief prosecutor at the time. She didn't think Dark was the real murderer. That's why she tried to erase the real evidence. Very well, the defense may now begin. Yeah, like, there was obviously a large fragment missing. Just the jar again, right? Miss Sky, I believe this jar conceals a truth even you were unaware of. What? We found the final piece of this jar in Chief Gant's safe. In the chief's safe? But how? I knew it. She really didn't know. There's something even more disturbing about that final piece. There was still blood on it. But the witness just testified that she gathered every last piece and wiped the blood off of them. Yes, which leaves us with only one explanation. On the night Prosecutor Marshall was murdered, you were not the first to show up on the scene. Chief Gant got there before you. Oh my god. But couldn't the defendant have simply missed a piece? No, not that big. I'm afraid that's unlikely. The pieces are too big for anyone to miss, let alone an ace detective. That may well be, but everyone makes mistakes. Even I once wasted an entire day looking for my dentures. They were in my mouth all along! Ha! Can you believe that? What a guy. Have you forgotten, Your Honor? When this witness arrived at the scene, the jar was already broken. Oh, that... There's no way a name could have been written on a shattered jar. Another person discovered the scene prior to the witness. I hope you're not implying this person was Chief Gant. At the time, he was looking for Dark downstairs. Okay. The question is, if he did arrive there first, why did he hide that fact for 2 years? Well, Your Honor, can you answer us that? Geez, we're grilling the judge? No! No! Take that, Your Honor. Unbelievable. Wait, I'm not the one on trial. Yeah. Damon Gant arrived at the crime scene prior to the witness. He proceeded to break the jar and purposefully hid one of the broken pieces. Question, what is this action called? Fabrication of evidence. But why would Chief Gant do that? In light of what happened afterwards, isn't it clear? What happened afterwards? Discovering the scene, Lana Skye believed her sister Emma killed the victim. Determined to help her sister, she sought Gant's aid. Lending her his aid, Gant helped her create evidence that incriminated Dark, sparing Emma, and therein lies the reason. The reason why Miss Sky became the chief's puppet. Damn, bit her thumb so hard she drew blood. No, I did it on my own. Please, sis, stop trying to protect the chief. I can't watch you suffer anymore for my sake. No, you didn't. It wasn't you, Emma. You didn't kill anyone. Don't believe anything Mr. Wright says. Defense attorneys make up the most foul lies to defend their clients. Foul lies? Imagine that, coming from my own client. That's brutal. I guess you do seem the type who likes to twist the truth. What? Wait a minute. What if we're still smack dab in the middle of Gant's trap? Is something wrong, Mr. Wright? Lana may be right after all. What do you mean, Wright? So you do tell foul lies then, Mr. Wright? Miss Sky, please testify once more. But if evidence was fabricated behind your back, then Emma's accidental killing of Prosecutor Marshall might also be a lie. But I do remember knocking over Mr. Marshall. Miss Sky, if you will. I can't. There's nothing to be afraid of anymore. This cross-examination may not change a thing. However, there is a possibility that it will, if you tell the truth. Very well. I'll testify about what I really saw. Oh man, get ready everybody. Alright, the witness may testify once more for the final time. When I arrived, I found Mr. Marshall's body impaled on that suit of armor's sword. Emma and Dark were lying unconscious on the floor nearby. When I saw what had happened, I thought she did it. That's why I erased all the evidence that linked her to the murder. I had Chief Gant help me remove the body from the sword and carry it. But if it all really was a fabrication, Emma might be innocent. Alright. Unbelievable. The body was impaled on the armor's sword? You were the only one who saw that. If only you had proof. Actually, I do have proof. Oh? I gave it to Mr. Wright just this morning. What? To me? It's a picture I took of the crime scene as I encountered it. I thought it might be needed. But I don't remember receiving a picture like that. Lana must have known. See, Mr. Wright? She really does have faith in you. Very well, Mr. Wright. Please present this picture. Well, the only thing we received from Lana was the book. Yeah, I got something from her. Let's check it again. There's got to be a picture. I pressed the wrong button. It's fine. Don't worry about it. It's the book. That's so adorable. Bio. I had to open it from the other side. That's great, because it's Japan. Hey, there's a picture here. Brutal. Oh my. This is the actual crime scene. No other detective saw the crime scene like this, because I contacted Criminal Affairs only after I had rearranged everything. Oh my goodness. Mr. Wright, that piece cut out from his vest, could that be? The cloth we found inside Chief Gant's safe. What's this? Yeah, well, we found it with a handprint. That cloth had fingerprints on it. Whose ever fingerprints those are must be the real murderer. What? But those fingerprints, they're yours, Emma. Why are your lips turning all purple, Mr. Wright? Yeah. Anyway, let's get on with the cross-examination. So long as you tell the truth, we should be able to flush out the real murderer. I did forget about that. But we're going, we're doing it. Actual crime scene. When I arrived, I found Mr. Marshall's body impaled on the suit of armor's sword. What? Oh god, he's just there. Oh my god. Come now, OG. This is the poorest excuse for a trial I've ever seen. Chief Gant. What? Now you want to make me out as the bad guy too? If so, I'd like to put in a word or two in my defense. I'm afraid it's too late for that. What? You already declined to testify. That means you forfeited your right to make statements of any sort. This must be that risk we were talking about earlier. Just sit back, relax, and enjoy the sound of the noose tightening around your own neck. Oh my god. Ah, so what? You think I'm worried? Sorry to disappoint you, but I don't need to make any statements. What do you mean? The evidence will do all the talking for me. Even if I can't testify, I can still present evidence. Yes, that's true. Wait, you mean... You still have some conclusive evidence? No, I don't, but someone does. Someone? So, what's your excuse, Righto? Why have you been keeping quiet about it? You do have something to show us, right? Something that proves who knocked over Neil Marshall, causing his death. Conclusive evidence that leaves no room for doubt. Is this true, Mr. Wright? If I show that piece of evidence now, Emma's sure to be made out as the murderer. Mr. Wright, if you had any more evidence, present it now, and if you try to conceal anything, you will be the one appearing before the Board of Inquiries. What do I do now? I better think this through carefully. I can't afford to make the wrong decision. The game is really pushing this, and I noticed in the chat to save, and I think this game might even have a bad end, so I'll go ahead and save. Should I present that piece of evidence? The one that shows who really killed Prosecutor Marshall. So... Alright, I'll show the evidence and risk a bad end. Yes, Your Honor. I do have further evidence. Alright, the time's finally come to show it to them. This is gonna suck. Those prints have gotta be the Chief's. Yeah. Conclusive evidence. Oh boy, this is gonna hurt. It's a piece of leather cloth? Yes, it most likely was cut from the victim's chest, a vest near his chest. What's this? There's a big handprint on it. Surely it must have been left on the cloth by whoever shoved the victim into the sword. What? Whose fingerprints are on this? I'm sure Righto has checked, haven't you? Well, whose are they? They're Miss Guy's. Miss Emma Guy's. What? They're mine? So I really did do it. See, I told you it was conclusive. But this was found in your safe. That means it's possible you forged it. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't remember any cloth in my safe. Do you really expect me to believe that? But... Give it up, Mr. Wright. It's over. You shouldn't have presented that. By presenting that evidence, you tied Emma Scott to Neil Marshall's death. No! It appears we have our killer. This sucks! This is why you save. No! Everything hinged on that proof. In the end, Lana alone was found guilty, on all counts. Oh, God! Oh, no! That sucks. Oh, jeez. Alright, well... I didn't get an achievement for that or anything? Are you serious? Alright, well... That is brutal, though. If you didn't save, that really would have set me back. Cannot show the evidence. Your Honor, I don't have any evidence I can present at this point in time. What? You lie. Chief Gant? You opened my safe. I know you took what was inside. The conclusive evidence. See, now he says it was in his safe. I don't know what you're talking about. Mr. Wright, why don't you show them? We found it together. Oh, I see. It's because you know the truth, don't you? You know whose fingerprints are on it. That's why you won't present it. What are you talking about, Chief Gant? Can't you figure it out? Take a good look at this picture. See the victim's vest? Notice anything odd about the chest area? It looks like part of it's been cut out. Yeah. You mean you had this in your safe? What? That means you, the Chief of Police, have been concealing evidence? This is going to be the biggest scandal in the history of the police department. Yeah, he just knocked himself out. Impressive. To be honest, I didn't think you had the gall, Righto. Well, I can't just let you pin me up as the murderer. I'll tell you what really happened. What? You mean you admit to it? I was the first person to arrive at the crime scene that day. It then occurred to me that I could use the situation to control Lana. So you really were manipulating her? I knew Lana. If I made it look like the blame lay with her sister, that, when she saw the scene, she would ask for my aid. So you assisted Miss Sky. I told her to arrange all the evidence. I had her plant the knife tip in the victim's body and move the body across the room. And I ended up using that evidence to get Joe Dark convicted. When I tampered with the crime scene, I hid 2 pieces of evidence. This was before Lana arrived at the scene, mind you. 2 pieces of evidence? You mean those items in your safe? But why? For insurance, of course. Insurance? I was sure my plan would work, but it's always best to be prepared for the worst. I wasn't about to let anyone blame me for a murder that girl committed. You mean you were calculating that far ahead while forging the evidence? What do you take me for, a fool? I didn't make police chief by dumb luck. See this jar fragment? I hid the most legible part of Emma's name. I didn't expect Lana to go and wipe the blood off all the pieces. But if you fabricated all the evidence, what's to say you didn't fabricate the message on this jar, too? Ho ho ho! Some people just don't know when to quit, do they? That's why I kept one more item for insurance. You mean that piece of cloth? Come on, Righto, cough it up already. I know you have it. What are you waiting for, Mr. Wright? So you admit to it then, Chief Gant, that you were hiding the cloth you cut off the victim's vest in your safe. Yes, I admit it. I didn't want to have to do that, being chief and all. But it's a lot better than being portrayed as a murderer. Well, Mr. Wright, what do you have to say for yourself? Just a moment ago you said you didn't have any evidence you could present. Foolish move, Righto. You should have shown it then before it was too late. It's been a long battle, but the moment of truth has finally arrived. As long as I don't mess up here, victory is mine. So, after this point, let's go ahead and do it. Your Honor, I do have evidence to present now. Alright then, let's see this conclusive evidence. Let me verify this once more. On the day of the crime, you personally cut out this piece of the victim's vest. Oh, yes! At last, you finally brought it out into the open. There's a handprint on this piece of cloth. Your Honor, the prosecution requests that be immediately sent to the lab for analysis. This handprint of the leather, there must have been a strong impact for it to be left so clearly. You mean it could not have been forged? It must be authentic, conclusive evidence. Damn, this is getting super intense. Ho ho ho! You're as slow on the uptake as ever, Worthy. What? Think about it. Righto had all this time to present this evidence. Yet he was reluctant to do so. Why would that be? You mean you already know? You know whose fingerprints are on that. Mr. Wright, do you really know? Whoever the fingerprints belong to must be the real murderer. Whose fingerprints are they? Very well. I'll tell you. Should be okay now. Everything's proceeding as predicted. The person to whom these fingerprints belong to is... it's a shame I can't look at the handprints because I'm wondering if she really did just suddenly bum rush. Wait. Wait a second. She still would have pushed him from behind, right? Possibly? No, she would have had to push him for the front, but she would have been at a weird angle. The handprint is dead center on the guy's chest, and it's a perfect handprint. I bet you Chief Gant went over to Emma while she was unconscious and pressed the cloth onto her hand. Like, the handprint is too good. Emma? Emma Sky? What? They're mine? I'm sorry, Emma. But why? Why didn't you tell me? Oh ho ho ho! You're really something, Righto. You knew this girl did it all along, and you still tried to pin the murder on me. So it's true. Tragic, but true. This girl really did shove Prosecutor Marshall to his death. How could you? You monster! Miss Skye? You knew whose fingerprints those were all along, yet you acted like she really didn't. Miss Skye, it's not over yet. What? I said this trial isn't over yet. Ha! But I'm afraid it is over, boy. Not only this trial, but your career, too. You purposefully concealed this conclusive evidence. That, my friend, is a serious offense. I'm looking forward to pressing charges after the defendant is convicted. I'll have your badge, boy! What's the matter? Cat got your tongue? Aren't you going to tell us how it feels? How it feels to be the one who single-handedly turned a poor little girl into a murderer? Before I do that, there's just one little thing I have to clear up. Oh, and what's that? Who really killed Prosecutor Neil Marshall? What? Chief Gant, you are absolutely right. This piece of cloth proves who the real murderer is. Who killed Neil Marshall, you ask? It was Emma Skye, wasn't it? I'm afraid that's not possible. You see, this piece of cloth contains a critical contradiction. What? A contradiction? What is this fool babbling about? I'm talking about a contradiction, one that proves who the real killer is. Mr. Wright, this piece of cloth, what could it possibly contradict? Chief Gant, your tyrannical reign ends here. Behold! The piece of evidence that contradicts this cloth. Something about this should bother me. Is it the fact that it's just, like, lower on his chest? Like, where the... And what exactly is this supposed to be? This is the picture Miss Skye took. Take a good look at it. See where the piece of his vest was cut out? Yes, his shirt is showing underneath. It's hard to make out with all the blood on his vest, though. Exactly my point. His chest is soaked with blood. That's only natural. His lungs no doubt were punctured. Blood poured out of his mouth. Oh, but that piece of cloth. Wait. There's no blood on it. Ugh! Since Emma Skye's fingerprints are on this cloth, there's no doubt that she shoved the prosecutor aside. However, Mr. Marshall was not impaled on the sword at that time. No, this is nonsense. Now then, Chief Gant, let me ask you something. Prosecutor Marshall was not impaled when he was shoved aside. He most likely hit his head on the ground and was knocked out. If so, then tell me, who could it have been? Actually, now that I think about it, the guy wielding the knife was on the left side of the picture, right? In front of a window? So if she shoved him, it would have been the wrong way. So that whole arrangement wouldn't have made sense in the first place. She might have pushed him into the wall or something. So if so, then tell me, who could it have been? Who could have arrived at the scene before Miss Lana Skye, picked up the unconscious prosecutor, and impaled him on the armor's sword? Then, to make it look like Emma was responsible for the prosecutor's death, said person proceeded to write her name on the jar with the victim's blood, a jar that they then broke on purpose to leave behind a clue, and make Lana believe her sister did it. Remember what you admitted only moments ago? That you personally cut out this bloodless piece of the victim's vest? Ironic, isn't it? Through the very act of creating insurance, you proved that you were the actual murderer! Yes. It's finally all over. Hooray! Oh, that was close, Righto. You almost had me. Huh? Sorry, but you'll have to do better than that. I refute your allegations. And substitute my own? What do you mean you refute his allegations? You see that piece of cloth. is illegal evidence. Technically true, but a lot of this stuff is in this game. Order! Order! What nonsense is this? Illegal evidence cannot be used to convict a suspect. Remember, Udgy? Earlier, old Righto here concealed that piece of cloth. Yeah, what's your excuse? You do have some conclusive evidence? No, I do not. Well, that's true. The defense did refuse to present evidence. At that moment, that piece of cloth ceased to be legal evidence. But that's not fair. Did you actually think you could best me in court? It looks like the last laugh's on you, son. I'm afraid Mr. Gant's claim is legally correct. Well, Mr. Edgeworth? True, illegal evidence cannot be used to convict a person, assuming, of course, that the evidence is indeed illegal. Well, Mr. Wright? It seems at last. The time for me to reveal my plan has finally arrived. Mr. Wright, do you admit to it? That you purposefully and illegally concealed this piece of cloth? So, it all comes down to this, right? No. I admit I refused to present it at one point. Aha! So the evidence is illegal. No, it isn't, Mr. Gant. Huh? It's not that I didn't present evidence then. It's that I couldn't, because it wasn't approved by the cop, which he just approved. What do you mean, you couldn't? There are certain procedures involved when presenting evidence. No, Udgy! Don't listen to his lies! He's nothing but a coward! You can't really believe! There is only one issue left to be resolved in this trial. Is this evidence legal or not? Very well, let us settle this once and for all. Earlier, you refused to present the evidence. If you can prove your conduct was not in violation of the law, then do so now. It's the evidence book, isn't it? This is pretty precious. This is my proof, Your Honor. Evidence law. What's this? I've done my homework too, Chief. Indeed, Emma Sky's fingerprints were on this piece of cloth. However, at that point in time, this was merely a piece of cloth, nothing more. What? You see, it's written right here in this book. The second rule of evidence law. Rule 1, no evidence shall be shown without the approval of the police department. I found this piece of evidence myself inside your safe. Goes without saying, I did not have the approval from the police department. Rule 2, unregistered evidence presented must be relevant to the case on trial. And here's the crux of the matter. You see, at the time it was impossible for me to prove the relevance between the cloth and the SL9 incident. What? What kind of nonsense is this? You want relevancy? Just take one look at this picture and... Sorry, but can you recall when was that picture presented? That was shown only a few moments ago. No. He's right. At the beginning of today's trial, that piece of cloth was still meaningless. The person who gave it value as evidence was you, Damon Gant. You yourself confessed to a certain truth. Let me verify this once more. On the day of the crime, you personally cut it out? Yup, that was me. No! It was then that you approved this cloth as conclusive evidence. Yes, you, the Chief of Police, personally approved this cloth. The only person who could have cut this from the victim's vest is the one who stood before Prosecutor Marshall in his final moments. In other words, the real murderer, and there's only one person who that could be. Damon Gant, the killer was you. Oh, I was waiting for him to pass out. Unless that sound indicated that. I knew I should have gotten rid of him. That good-for-nothing scum! For 2 years, he's been snooping around the departments trying to get something on me. Crimes are being committed every day, yet he insisted on hounding me. Well, your crime wasn't exactly petty. He wanted to reinvestigate the case. He recruited Angel Starr, then convinced Bruce Goodman. Detective Goodman? Yeah, that's right. If the evidence is transferred, I'll lose my only chance to find out the truth. Please, you've got to help me. With the gun sound. Freaking beautiful. Goodman turned him down as he ought to. Still, Jake Marshall didn't know when to quit. He stole Goodman's ID card and tried to take the evidence. Goodman came to me that day. He wanted to file a lost item report. I went with him to the evidence room. Then all of a sudden he decided to speak out. What are you talking about, Goodman? Can you please reopen the investigation, Chief? We can't transfer the evidence out. There are too many questions left unanswered. He opened his evidence locker, and as he was taking the evidence out, he said, "It's not too late." Oh, it's not too late. I'm going to hand all this over to Marshall. What a coup. Well, to be honest, I was a bit taken aback by his words. I had a bad feeling when he came to see me, but I never thought he'd bring up SL9. That's when I saw it. That accursed knife. Man, this is all just... At least he's coming clean. He's just spilling the beans. I couldn't just pull it out. Doing so would have only led to more blood, making it near impossible to hide your crime. Even so, the blood was just pouring out. I didn't know who might stumble in, so I hurried to wipe it up. I was worrying so much about the floor, I didn't realize my fatal mistake. The bloody handprint. Detective Gumshoe's locker. Oh, the print on the locker. I used to be known as the crime computer, but everyone has to start somewhere, I guess. I was too nervous. I had no business doing any of it. Then he put the body in my car. I'm sorry, I couldn't think of any other way to move the body. I broke your trunk, but what's the big deal? You make a lot more than us detectives ever will. We detectives, by the way. Leaving the prosecution's car aside. How? How could you get Miss Skye involved in all this? Well, she had as much to lose as I did if the truth came out. So you took the evidence from Detective Goodman's locker? I felt bad for having to do it. I also didn't have the time to pick and choose what to take. So, you left the jar fragments in the glove. Yeah. It looks like I was better off being an investigator of crimes than a committer. You hear that, kids? Crime doesn't pay. They all did their best to get in my way. I've got to hand it to them. They do their jobs well, much to my dismay. Fake evidence doesn't hold up very well upon close examination. You must have known that. Tell me, Worthy, why do you stand in court? Me? You despise criminals. I can feel it. You and me, we're the same. One day you'll understand. Oh, believe me, you will. You're just one man. You'll see what it really takes to bring them down once you try to go it alone. That's it. From now on, I'm teaming up with Wright in many more crazy adventures. Well, looks like it's time to say goodbye. Oh, Udgy. What? Looks like we'll have to cancel that lunch date. Sorry, old friend. Unpleasant. I'm sorry too, Damon Gant. I knew you as you used to be long ago. You were once a fine investigator, and an example to others on the force. I'm sorry to learn that you are no longer that person. Those days are gone now, Udgy. Thanks for all the memories, though. Don't worry, you'll be fine. Now you have Righto here, and Worthy. With these two around, you can't go wrong. In fact, I can hear them already. The melodious sounds of a new beginning! What a good sport. There are two things I want you to understand. Yes? First, your sister never hurt anyone. Second, Damon Gant betrayed you from the beginning. You see, Miss Skye, you no longer have any reason to keep silent. You're right. When this trial is over, I'll tell everything. All that I've done these past 2 years, from the time I had Gant help me forge evidence up until today. So, it seems all the questions raised in this trial have been answered. I'm sorry, Miss Skye. I couldn't get you out of all your trouble. My. What high standards you have for a rookie. I can see why Maya thought so highly of you. Who knows? A few years from now, you just might make it to the top. Hooray! I owe you my thanks, Mr. Wright. Miss Skye. And to you too, Mr. Edgeworth. You suffered every bit as much as I have over these past few days. Believe me, I know how much of an ordeal it's been for you. It was nothing. Liar. I was worried the pressure might break you. And yet, you rose above it all and guided Mr. Wright to victory. You've done well, Mr. Edgeworth. Stop it. I only did my job. In light of this case, it seems a good self-examining is in order for all of us. Miss Skye? Yes, Your Honor? You are innocent of murder. However, although the chief blackmailed you, the fact is you still acted as his accomplice. A trial will be scheduled for these crimes at a later date. Yes, I understand, Your Honor. Is there something amusing about all this? Why are you smiling? It's been a long time, Your Honor. A long time since I felt free of these heavy chains. Well, this trial has gone on far too long already. Yeah. Regarding the charge of murder, this court finds the defendant Miss Lana Skye not guilty. Hooray! We beat the game! I freaking love the applause on the ticker tape. It's like the goofiest thing. Or the confetti. That is all. This court is adjourned. Hooray! We're nearly done. At long last, it's finally over. Emma? Why the long face? I'm sorry your sister didn't get completely off the hook, but at least she wasn't convicted for a murder she didn't commit. No, that's not it. Just now, after the trial ended, I could see what... Oh, yeah, we just read it. I got my thanks. And you misread it. We just read this. You know, I did my best too, but Lena didn't say a single word to me. Hope I'm not interrupting anything, pals. Oh, guess I am. Now I'll come back. This is so good. They keep doing... Wait, Detective Gumshoe, what is it? You're doing this on purpose, aren't you? Making a detective run all around while on duty? And to top it off, you call me here. I've seen half your people... It's the same thing. Hey, lighten up, pals. I'm only kidding. Oh, are you here because of my sister again? Nope, not this time. I came today because of you, pal. Me? That's right. I thought you'd like to see someone. Hooray! Lana! Should you be doing this? She's still under arrest, you know. Well, I won't tell if you won't. Emma, I owe you an apology. It's okay, sis. Don't worry about it. That day, 2 years ago, was the first time in my life I ever panicked. It was all I could do to keep myself from screaming. All I could think about was keeping you from getting wrapped up in that mess. Sis. I asked Gant to help me cover up the truth. I thought I was doing it for your sake, but now I realize I was wrong. I changed after that day. I had to. It was the only way I could make it through the past 2 years. I knew how much I was hurting you by distancing myself, but I couldn't bring myself to tell you what I did. I was scared. Scared that you'd look at me with those eyes of yours. With your pink glasses. I was scared of how you'd react if you knew. But sis, you were only doing it for me. No. Huh? I turned my back on you that day. In hiding what I believed to be the truth, I was deceiving you. Sis. I'm such a fool. It took me all this time to realize it. Emma, I'm so sorry. But sis, you don't have to apologize. I'm happy now. You're happy? Of course. You know, sis, I always knew that one day you'd come back. And now you have. Oh, Emma. Emma! Hooray! No one can change the past. The only thing we can do is try to make up for our mistakes. Why must we make up for our mistakes, you ask? Because, in so doing, we can find the way back to our rightful path. And it is from there that we can move on towards a brighter future. Hooray! At least that's what I felt watching the two sisters make up. Mr. Wright, Mr. Gumshoe? Me? Thank you both for all that you've done. I'm sure we'll meet again someday. Isn't that right, Edgeworth? Edgeworth? Stop hiding and go over here. Really? He's hiding. Where was he hiding? I just came to say, congratulations. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Edgeworth. Right. Well, I'll be going now. It's so good. Mr. Edgeworth, I hope you don't blame yourself for what happened. We were the ones who acted corruptly, not you. It's too late for me. No matter what anyone may say, I realize today that I can't correct my mistakes. Mr. Edgeworth? Not only that, but I don't even trust myself anymore. Chief Gant was right. Yeah, we're the same. Oh my god, one day you'll understand. I do despise criminals. I plan to dedicate my entire life to fighting them. But in order to fight crime on my own, I need a weapon. It's scary, but I've known that to be true for quite some time now. But Edgeworth? Who knows? Given enough time, I might have tried to pull something like Chief Gant did. That thought terrifies me. That's why I can't continue on as a prosecutor. Edgeworth, don't you understand? Damon Gant and your mentor, Manfred von Karma, were both the best of the best when it came to fighting crime. But they both made the same mistake. You said in order to fight crime on my own, I need a weapon. That may be true, but think back to today's trial. You weren't alone. You were working together with Mr. Wright. And because of that partnership, you were able to present evidence that otherwise would have gone undiscovered. Isn't that right, Mr. Wright? Huh? What? Oh, yeah. What is this, a pop quiz? Come on, Mr. Wright, show him what Lana's talking about. Evidence, huh? Something that neither of us could have found this on our own because we each had half of an evidence list. That's the picture I drew. Our counterattack began with this. You had one half of the evidence list and I had the other. Apart, we wouldn't have been able to completely restore Emma's picture. That didn't just happen by chance, Mr. Edgeworth. It's time for me to go. Mr. Edgeworth, if you'll excuse me, there are still some loose ends that need wrapping up. Take care, Chief Prosecutor. Edgeworth, what will you do now? I'll go wherever the wind takes me. Well, whatever you do, just remember, you can let what happened kill the prosecutor in you, or you can let it help you grow. In the end, it's up to you. I know. It seems I owe you my thanks too, right? But what I face now is my problem. Edgeworth, I'll be waiting for you in court. Farewell. And then he disappeared like the ghost he is. I'd better be going too. Okay, but I'll be by to visit soon. It seems we both have a lot to learn and catching up to do. Oh, investigation? Scientific investigation. That's great. It is the same publisher because it's the cute little chick. Here, this is a little something for you. Scientific investigation? It's the first book I ever bought. Study it well. Thanks, sis. I will. She's just full of books today. And so another case came to a close. As for the sisters, I have faith. Faith that their lives have only just begun. And as for me, I think it's time I started on a new journey of my own. Many new journeys, including prequels. A journey to rediscover myself. Well, don't go trekking off just yet, pal. Huh? What is it, detective? There's just a little matter to be resolved about the chief prosecutor. You see, she isn't supposed to be out of jail like this, but I thought you said it was okay. Yeah, well, it may be okay with me, but the folks at the prison are a different story. Huh? Basically, I had to bribe a guard in order to sneak her out for 30 minutes. Believe me, it wasn't cheap either. Huh? Way to go, detective! I didn't know you had a wild side. Yeah, well, you see, Mr. Wright here's the one who'll be footing the bill. Huh? Huh? What, you think I could afford it with my salary? You gotta be kidding me, pal. Huh? 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 Thank you, Mr. Wright, you're the best. Why is it? I suddenly feel like I want to scream. Hey, I got an idea. Why don't we all go pay it off together? Yeah, that's a great idea. Come on, guys. Let's go. Best credits ever. Oh, is the game going to do this for me? Hooray, that was marvelous. I arranged for someone to take care of me. I hope she'll be pleased to study under a top coroner. I missed the first part. As for me, this affair has pretty much ended my days at the prosecutor's office. Still, I'll manage to find my way back to the field somehow. Then, I'll be able to investigate crimes together with Emma. Hooray! So I guess the game is doing this automatically. Because the guide is saying I'm supposed to sprinkle the powder and blow on it. So I guess the game is making this considerably easy for me. Yikes, I thought I was a goner for a moment there. In the end, though, they overlooked my unauthorized investigation of the chief's office. If we penalized you any more, it'd be worse than firing you. Yep, that's what they said. It just goes to show, you can't shake me off that easily. What a guy. Gumshoe, what a hero. Have a lovely night, User Shadow. Have a lovely night, Vakaphon. And I think there's like one more thing to do after this, just for one little reveal. So we'll take a look. Oh, wow, yes. My new mission is to guard the main entrance and take care of Billy. the cactus. Can you believe it? I've been demoted to a security guard. My partner's keeping an eye on the entrance for me today. I'll show them, though. Someday I'm going to make detective. Yes, sir. Then I can be just like that Dick Gumshoe. I very much like that he looks up to Dick Gumshoe. Everybody should look up to Dick Gumshoe. It looks like I was wrong. This was another 45 minutes. I thought the stream would be over a little sooner. But here we go. It just starts talking. I'm here too. I'm the mascot. Yep. Do that dance, buddy. Oh no! I can't believe it. Hello there, Rare Foil. Welcome. Yes. What is it? Can't you see I'm having me a showdown with a steak lunch partner? Miss Star managed to sneak this into me. She's seen one of the guards, it seems. Well, cowboy, looks like you did it. You even gave Bambina back her smile. Can you make sure Billy and the gang get their water? Oh, don't worry, we got a guy for that. I love that we have 2 credit sequences, because it's a bonus mission. Looks like we won't be seeing each other for a while. As a farewell gift, I put a new meal on the menu, the Right Way lunch. The top layer tastes as bitter as defeat, but the bottom layer is as sweet as victory. Damn, she's good. Kids seem to dig the turnabout theme. It's a hot seller around exam time. That's great. Just make sure not to eat it backwards. The whole turnabout thing is freaking excellent. Oh, if I sprinkle the touchscreen when people are talking, it'll give me extra art? Oh, I should look into that. Or maybe I can't do that? I guess I can't do that now. Let's see, what was his name again? Mr. Left? Oh, please. Anyway, he said he's been doing something or other for, how many years? Well, anyway, I've got another trial to get to, so I better be... Huh? Oh, no, I forgot my gavel. Sorry, gotta go. Oh my god, Jesse's empty. Well. Hooray! Ah, nothing soothes the soul like fresh country air. Yeah, because she did say she was coming out here. Still, sometimes I do miss hearing you and your objection. Still, I can't go back until I'm a full-fledged spirit medium. Mystic Maya, afternoon training's about to begin. Coming! Hooray, she's doing it. Well, see you around, Nick. Who else do we have? Oh, here we go. Mr. Edgeworth. Oh, Mr. Edgeworth, I brought you your tea. Hmm? What's going on? Oh no. Bellboy. I love they keep bringing that guy back. Music's super chill though. Hooray! Thanks for coming to see me off. I can't believe I'm going to Europe. I was gonna say, I'm also going to become a mystic. Thank you, Mr. Wright. Thank you so much for everything. I'm a little sad, but I'll be alright. Whenever I want to see Lana, all I have to do is open this book. Oh yeah, this is like the final thing. Hooray! Perfection. Hey, that was good stuff. Rise from the ashes. Get it? Because that's what a phoenix does. That was great. That was a fantastic game. I've been sleeping on it for like literally 20 years, but I finally played it. Maybe less than 20 years, because 2001 might have been the GBA release, I'm not sure. But we did it! Hooray, everybody! We completed the game! Well, I'll see what I do next time, but in the meantime, thank you very much for joining this extra stream, and have a wonderful night.